Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Geeks Not Nerds, the podcast. I'm Captain Logan.
And I'm Eric.
How's it going, Eric?
It's going.
Today, we're going to be reviewing the latest of the DC Direct animated movies, as is my and Eric's ritual. And sorry, it has been a while. This movie's been out for at least 3 weeks, if not a month already, and it's Justice League War, based on the 6-issue opening Justice League arc from New 52, which was the first thing that came out of 52. The first issue of this.
Yeah, it was the first thing we saw in New 52.
Yeah, and that was the only thing solicited that week.
No, it was the last issue of Flashpoint and the first issue of Justice League.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, that's
okay.
What it was.
It was the only 52 thing solicited when it came out.
I think. I'm almost positive. But yeah. Okay, so I want to get something out of the way right at top before we get into this.
Right ahead.
Because I don't want it to just constantly show up throughout. This is actually something we've talked about with a couple of the DC animated films. This film is just crude. It's really vulgar. I mean, vulgar is a relative term, I guess, but they swear a lot. I don't think a minute goes by without them swearing. And, you know,
it's not that bad, but it's worse than I've ever seen it with these.
Well, and one of the things that I think we've talked about is, you know, it doesn't bother me in something like Flashpoint, where like it was kind of a darker story, or Dark Knight Returns, or Under the Red Hood. But this is one of those. This is completely fine for kids, except for all of the language, a lot of language.
Well, it's funny you decided to lead with this, because this was really the big thing I want to talk about. That is my biggest complaint about this. I feel like there is no good reason for it in this particular story, and it really makes me question who this movie is for.
Yeah, I had the exact same thing. I mean, if it wasn't for all the language, you could show this movie to a 6-year-old.
Yeah, and let me ask you this question. Yeah, because there's nothing as far as the actual subject matter or the
This isn't a dark story or like
it's not
an in-depth psychological tale, or even it's not a scary film.
Yeah, the substance doesn't require it, and it seems like it's just there to give it more credibility as an adult thing, which, again, like you said, we've talked about a lot with these. So, my big question is, who is going to watch this that's not already familiar with these characters? That's my big question, because I feel like the only way this works is if you want to introduce, and this isn't even anything about if the film is good or not, the quality of the storytelling. But if this thing is supposed to be super adult, who is is this for like adults? Is this for like 30, 35-year-old people?
And if they're going for that, why isn't it more violent? Why not tackle some more adult themes? I mean, there was nothing in that original story. Why don't you add some of that? If you're going to go for adults, make a film geared towards adults. They did that with Under the Red Hood.
Yeah, see, I don't even know that makes a lot of sense with this, because I don't understand introducing these characters to an audience that would be okay with this amount of crude humor and language and stuff, right? Like I don't understand what audience of this age isn't going to already be familiar with these characters.
Well, and I'm kind of curious.
And there's already better stories for them anyway, as far as introducing these characters in the first place. Just watch the pilot of Justice League, and you already have a way better, you know, alien invasion that gets all the Justice League together story. Why do we need this level of language? But you're right. There's not a lot in the way of violence even.
Well, this film in particular got me kind of thinking. I think we need to reassess how we rate these films, because if I pick up, I don't know, New Frontier, or even something like Justice League Doom, or, you know, whatever, to me, as, let's say I'm a parent, they're all PG-13, and I think this is far less appropriate than something like, JLA Frontier, or...
Superman Doomsday was PG-13, and it was really mild in comparison in the language department.
I think even Superman versus the Elite had language, but it was only by the bad people. I don't think Batman Year One even had language. And we talked about that film was a little toned down from what the comic is. But like or basically all of the other Justice League films leading up to this, I think are pretty kid appropriate.
Yeah, you're
Um,
right. It's hard for parents to know.
yeah, like if this is PG-13, I would go back and make Crisis on Two Earths PG. I would make JLA New Frontier PG. I would make Superman Doomsday PG.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't want people to think that we're overstating this. What's super weird about it is that it made sense in the original comic in a way it doesn't here. And I don't think there was nearly as much of it there either. But I mean, like there may have been a D word here and there in
I
that.
don't remember it being like it is. It feels forced here.
It does feel forced. But the reason I'm saying it would make more sense there, even if it's not there, is because that was geared toward new readers and people who were already there.
Well, and
Just by the very nature of rebooting a universe. The problem with this is it is a standalone movie.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? I feel like I don't even feel like the story was justified in the first place in being an adaptation because I mean I wanted to be open minded and hope it could maybe improve on the original material. I'll make no bones about this. I've reviewed it. I didn't really care for that
And
story.
I
I didn't
liked
think
it
it
more than you do, but I don't know anyone that really likes
really
Origins.
likes. There's not a lot to it. It's not unreadable, but it's just there's not much there, and I feel like I've kind of been there and done that before with introducing the Justice League. So I guess part of my thing was I had to sit through that story, and it was kind of the same thing. And also, I had to sit through another Justice League origin story, and then I could not justify its existence, especially having that much language in it. I don't understand this piece or who it's for. I kind of feel like it just got made because New 52 was big when it started.
Yeah, well, of all of the language, I thought one joke involving language was funny, and it was the only word that wasn't an actual swear word. Um, but still kind of inappropriate for kids because having Batman be called a phenomenal douchebag was fantastic, and I thought that was really funny. Outside of that, and that's the tamest word they use.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I didn't need any of it.
Well, and at the risk of swearing on my channel, which I don't usually do, but this is one of those sort of a
Oh,
swear
drum
word
roll.
sort of things. I I really couldn't get past the guy who said Wonder Woman dresses like a whore, man.
I couldn't get past. Well, okay, this ties in with the same thing. Well, first of all, this is the most conservative I've seen Wonder Woman dressed in a long time. Um, but
It's funny.
second of all,
Yeah,
I
you're right. She doesn't have cleavage or
no
anything.
nothing.
It's a good point.
I think
Yeah, I mean, like if this is like super, like revealing and seductive, so is Supergirl in 52.
yeah,
It's
but
the same thing.
but um, but I was kind of put off by the fact that like he hates Wonder Woman, and then when she throws the lasso of truth around her, he's like, "Why I cross dress as Wonder Woman because it makes me feel powerful." And I was like, okay, one, if that is the case, why are you attacking Wonder Woman? Second of all, what is that doing in this movie? Like, I mean, it comes down to the swearing thing too. Outside of that, there's nothing else in this that's in any way, you know, about anything. Like,
Well, and
th-
this gets to kind of the core of my issue with the story at large, which is it tries to play itself off as ultra super realistic, and I kind of think that the and I mean socially realistic, like well, we used to have this idealistic universe with DC where everybody loves superheroes, and now we're going to do it the way it would really be in the real world. And I kind of think maybe they thought they were doing that with all of the swearing and stuff where they're like, we're going to create the cynical world the way it is. But the problem is I didn't feel like this was any more or less realistic than any other superhero thing.
no,
And I felt that way about Geoff Johns' original story too. I thought playing up everybody hates superheroes because they don't understand them and they're afraid of powers and stuff. I didn't buy it. I always feel like it would be a lot more complicated than that in real life.
well, and here's kind of my thing with that. Okay, if that's the angle you're going to take, Superman still shouldn't be swearing. Like that's the point, right? Is that they win people over because they are good.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point. Yeah, let them be idealistic and or at least try to be, and then let the rest of the world have to be turned around. Like, yeah, good call. Why do the heroes have to be cynical?
yeah,
Why
because
can't they be
they're just
themselves?
like everyone else here.
Why can't they be themselves in a cynical world, and then it's endearing and it's positive because it's trying to show the world what it can be. But instead, I just kind of don't like anybody in
Well,
this
and what blew my mind is that
very much.
that guy in the beginning, the guy that they say is a crossdresser, which just side note, I that really bothered me because they bring it
Really?
up and I don't know, like it seems like they just brought it up to make fun of him. I couldn't tell if they were trying to be, kind of like socially relevant and be like, well, no, it's okay that he does that. But it was like the punchline and like I don't know. I thought that was just really confused to just show up for that scene. But when that guy's yelling at the beginning, he's complaining about property damage. And then at the end, when the people are coming up on them, I'm like, well, they just wrecked like half the city. Like now they're gonna get it. And they're just like,
Yeah.
yeah. I was like, wait, if property damage was a problem, um, this is
Well, that's the
probably
thing
the
is, it's
most
just
you've seen thus far.
yeah, it's just oversimplified. I mean, I get what they're trying to get at with that, where it's like, well, they didn't have Darkseid before, and so now the property damage is warranted because there was no way around it, and they were saved by this guy that was way more powerful than anything they knew could possibly exist, and so it proved to them that the superheroes were necessary.
It's the
But I still feel
Avengers
like
movie.
they're kind of just yeah, they're kind of. But that's the thing is that at least in the Avengers, some of the characters are a lot more optimistic and more endearing than these people. And so, like, the world is not changing Captain America.
Yeah,
Like, he's
no.
refusing to allow it to affect him. And that's endearing. So it looks like something a little bit more akin to the darker world that we perceive now. But does every single person have to react the same way? Like, so this kind of played it off like you have to be a kid to care to really appreciate superheroes.
Yeah, and I mean this continues the trend from at least Brainiac, or Superman Unbound. I don't know if it showed up in another one. This Superman's a jerk.
He is, and I really hated that. And what's weird is you get to the end. What am I missing? You get to the end, and there's talk about how great Superman is and how much of a good
It's
person
been
he
a
is.
while since I read Origin. Was he that much of a jerk in Origin? I know he's not in Morrison's run.
I didn't think he was. I just didn't see it here. I didn't really understand that. I don't know how anybody perceived him as anything other than well. And it's like Wonder Woman's got rose tinted glasses with him. The whole movie, she's seeing a totally different person than I am.
Oh,
And frankly, so's Batman. What's with I don't know. Maybe this is just an over the top superhero fight thing where I'm supposed to look past it because I'm enjoying the over the top fighting. But when Superman and Batman fight the first time, and then Batman says, "Oh, I get it. You bruise, but you don't kill." Kind of looked like he was trying to kill him all over the place.
um,
Did you have that?
okay. I have this on a grander scale.
Okay.
Okay, so this was in the comic. I don't remember it's more explained in the comic because for some reason there's a parademon dressing up as Batman. I don't know
Yeah, I
why.
still don't understand that, but
Okay,
okay.
okay. That means they have enough sentience to disguise themselves as someone else, yes?
Yeah.
They're killing them left and right. Batman's blowing up, is like putting grenades in parademons' mouths. Like they are, like Superman's lasering them in half. These aren't robots. These are semi-sentient beings, and they're just wholesale slaughtering them.
Okay, so they're not robots?
I don't think so. They're organic. They've never been robots before, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, there were a couple places where it looked like there were like mechanical bits when an arm came off or something. I could not decide if they were
I
supposed
thought
to
it
be
was the tech because like when you see it on Cyborg, it's like techno organic. So I thought they just had the same kind of technology and that was their armor.
maybe so. I wasn't sure. They sure didn't. They sure seemed organic, except for that.
Yeah, and they're
Otherwise, they'd be like
killing them a
programming
lot.
robots to act like creatures or something. I'm sorry, what?
They're killing them a lot.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up on that. I just thought it was weird that like Superman drops Batman from high places and throws him in such a way where any normal person would have gotten killed, even wearing armor, probably. And then he's like, "Oh, you bruise, but you don't kill." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess Superman. I guess the only way you could explain it is Superman can X-ray Batman and see how much armor he's wearing." But he was pretty brutal, and there are places in that fight where he shoots him with heat vision where it seemed like he was trying to slice him in half, because he's slicing through pieces of buildings and stuff.
And how
Right.
and how
Well,
misused was Alan Tudyk as Superman?
he gets all of like 5 lines.
Why wasn't he Green Lantern? The way Green Lantern's written in this movie is perfect for Alan Tudyk.
I agree with you.
I
Yeah, I wondered about that, and he was the only voice that I recognized.
um Sean Astin is Shazam. I know
Oh,
him.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, that's Sam Gamgee in The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, really? Okay, that's
Yeah, Mr.
interesting.
Frodo.
Um, it is funny that they credit Andrea Romano as Green Lantern's ring. So why don't we go ahead and talk about voice casting then? The one that I kind of Batman grew on me. I wasn't sure about him at the beginning. I've been reading people complaining about him. He was okay for me. The one that really rubbed me the wrong way was Wonder Woman.
She's Michelle Monaghan, and I like Michelle Monaghan. So I didn't have a problem with her.
Oh, okay. I just thought she was kind of, and maybe some more of it was in the writing, but boy, I thought she came off silly in a way
Oh,
she didn't
oh,
in the
she
comic.
does. I couldn't believe this
Okay, okay.
movie had this much swearing and then still kept the ice cream scene.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Well, first of all, let me mention that with her voice, I just thought that a lot of the line deliveries were weird. There were several where I was like, that just doesn't sound natural to me. I'm not sure why you read it like that. And in anything else, I would say, oh, the actress doesn't seem to understand the material, but I don't know whether it is really to understand. Like, there's not a lot to this. The thing is, you get to the ice cream scene, and that was kind of my favorite scene in the comic. Like, it played well there. I thought it was
It plays
funny, and
awful here.
in the comic, like I wasn't liking her, and then they did that scene, and I thought that it kind of helped to humanize her a little bit. That she's coming to appreciate people, and she's not seeing herself so much above them anymore because she's liking something that they like. And like that line, and it's in here verbatim. That line where she looks at the guy selling the ice cream and says, "You should be very proud of this achievement." In the comic, I laughed out loud. I thought that was great. In this, didn't play at all on screen. I don't know if it's the like voice of the little kid just sounds too cartoony. I don't know what it was about it. And I don't. Maybe it's that you just can't translate that to screen. Maybe it's not funny if it's animated. I don't know. Didn't work at all.
Yeah, I
Please explain to me why that didn't work. Because I don't like just saying that was bad and not having an explanation for it. But it didn't play for me at all. I thought it was silly. Came off as goofy. Maybe it's just in the context of the greater piece it didn't work.
maybe it's because the film felt so like cynical and negative, and then you get to this scene that feels like it belongs in like a Saturday morning cartoon. Um, I don't know. I remember not hating the scene in the comic, and here it feels like a really bad gag. Like it feels like something you'd see in a bad Saturday morning cartoon. I don't know. It felt really, really out of place. Um, I
See, when I reviewed that comic, I made a point to bring that up as one of the cooler bits,
uh,
and I was wondering if they do it here, and then they did it, and it didn't work.
props to the animation team for like giving Steve Trevor a character arc where he has like one line in the entire film, and he's just in the background giving looks, and you know where he stands throughout the film.
I didn't notice that. That's funny.
Um,
Uh, yeah, let's go there for a minute. I thought the animation was fine.
yeah, I thought the animation looked good. I actually like Darkseid's redesign here better than the comic. He doesn't have
And I
that
love
big
his
dumb
voice.
Omega symbol on his chest.
I loved his voice. There are periods. In fact, this is the only complaint I have about the animation. There are a couple places with Darkseid where his voice does not match up with his with his mouth at all.
Can I complain for a second about the Omega symbols?
Sure.
Okay.
But did you notice that?
No, I didn't notice that.
Oh, okay. I just want to know if you noticed that. Maybe it was just me. There were a couple places where he started talking. I was
Well,
like, wait a
as we
minute.
learned from Spawn, when you get to a certain level of evil, your voice doesn't have to match your mouth flap.
You know what? you're right. That is a trend, and they might have done it on purpose. That's a really good point. Because that didn't happen to anybody else, just Darkseid. Nope, you're right. That is an evil rule, and I forgot all about it. Go ahead, Eric.
But okay,
Ramble about Omega symbol.
okay, so the new gods apparently exist. I don't know if it's in another dimension or way out of the universe, but the Guardians aren't aware of them. You'd think the Guardians would be aware of them, but they're not aware of them. Why do they have Omega symbols created by humans?
Yeah, but that's always a thing with alien.
Okay, it just
creatures.
that seemed really specific, which I guess leads into a bigger question: Why Earth? Why now?
Oh yeah, well that's the big question I had in the comic book.
Yeah, I had no idea why
think-
Darkseid was doing anything in the comics.
It's all way too convenient, and again, that's just adapting the source material and not improving on it. The comic did the same thing. I felt like there was a lot of too much stuff lining up coincidentally just so that we could get all these people in the same place at the same time.
All I need to know is just why.
Yeah.
If you tell me why, I won't ask about why now. But he just attacks, and there's no mention of the what's that thing Darkseid's always after, the something code, the something number,
Oh yes,
the anti-life equation.
Anti-life equation.
There's no mention of like, well, that's on Earth, I have to get it. Like he just shows up and starts attacking for no reason.
Well, and see, again, that was my big complaint with the original, or with the comics. I always thought that it was like, okay, we got to have a big bad guy to get the Justice League together. Everybody likes Darkseid. He's kind of the big bad guy to get the Justice League together. Let's redesign him, and that'll be enough. Yeah, it was just it's kind of poorly thrown together in that way.
And it leaves me with a question about the ending.
Yeah.
Okay, they send them all back. They say that all the mother boxes have been destroyed, so there's no way they can come back for a while, right?
Right.
How'd they get there in the first place to put the mother boxes there?
I don't. Your guess is as good as mine, pal.
Okay, just asking.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. You need some kind of an explanation, and I'm with you. You wouldn't have had to be anything like super complicated. Just something would have been nice so that it looked like you were at least thinking about it, and it wasn't just thrown together, right? Because
you could literally open this movie with Darkseid sitting in a chair saying, "Clytus, I'm bored. Give me something to play with today."
Yeah, because the problem is, and then he could have been like, Desaad could have been like, well, there's this planet where there's some superhumans, and it might be kind of fun to go take that one over.
Yeah, they could at least have given us that.
Because Darkseid, you like a challenge, right? So like you have a little bit of resistance.
There's this Superman guy. He's the last of the Kryptonians.
Totally gonna win in the end. Like, don't you worry, pal. But at least you'll have a little bit of resistance. That'll be fun. Because the thing is, it's a lot more glaring to me when it's not just, okay, this guy doesn't really have any reason to come now, as he's coming now, and we just got all these superheroes started.
Well,
it's like some of them have been operating for a while, but not very long.
One of the things with this is that, let's see, how long is this? 79 minutes. So, it's only 79 minutes. I felt like it was so much longer.
I did too.
That's
I think like their max length, right?
I thought they usually went like 90. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think they're not allowed to go past 80.
Oh,
I think
okay.
I could be wrong, but I think their average is like 75.
All right. Well, with how underwritten the comic is, the whole Justice League origin takes you about maybe like what, 20, 30 minutes to read.
Yeah, it's quick.
I had a lot, because this is almost an hour and a half. I had a lot more time to just sit there watching people punching each other and question, why are they punching each other? I feel like this story, because it has so little narrative that's just a big fight, was a really bad choice, because I'm just watching people punching and I have to think about something, and I start thinking about motivations.
Yeah, and I want to put this in perspective, because one of the things that is irritating about this is that I am always preaching, hey, DC direct-to-video movies, don't pick things that are so long that you have to truncate them. But then this thing is short enough to maybe warrant an adaptation, except there's nothing to it.
Well, I was optimistic about this adaptation because I thought, well, there's so little in the original story. This is something that they can buff out. Nope, we just had like literally half the movie be a fight, maybe even
It's
more. It's not the
it's
same fight. I think 70% of this movie is people punching.
and I think it would be uh yeah, I think I enjoyed the comics better than I enjoyed this, and I don't really like that arc that much.
Um,
Because like you said, it's at least faster to get through since there's not enough going on, and the art's great. So like I appreciate the spectacle more because I kind of got bored watching this.
yeah, no, I totally. By the time that we got to the uh, I don't know, like halfway through, just parademons constantly attack and the heroes constantly just shooting lasers and punching. Yeah, I kind of got bored. It picked up a little bit when they started fighting Darkseid himself, but yeah, I didn't. There's a reason that when they made the Avengers, they had a big elongated fight, and that was the last act. This is like, starts fight, stays fight, ends fight. There's no stakes here. I don't care. We don't even see civilians that they're saving. Like
Yeah,
there's nothing to like pump up like nothing differentiates one fight from another. I don't know why this fight is more dangerous than that fight. There's more parademons. I guess that's a thing.
there are these very simple kind of surface uh what do I want to call them, kind of morals, with having to like find humanity within the supernatural, and you got the whole thing at the end with Batman and Green Lantern are the only actual humans, and so like they try at a couple of kind of thematic things here and there, but it's not none of that sticks fleshed out, none of that is explored at all, and it kind of just feels like novel. It kind of feels obligatory. Like, well, we got to pretend like we're about something. I don't know. I didn't feel like this was a movie that anybody wanted to make. Did you? Like, I mean, I'm being really hard on it, but like, I watched this kind of feeling like the people making it didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
The
Well,
animation's fine. Like maybe the people animating it were having fun making fights happen, but I didn't feel like the writing was uninspired. The voice acting was uninspired.
I
I didn't
wouldn't be
understand anybody
surprised
wanted.
if DC specifically said
You
this is
guys
the
have to make
next.
this.
Yeah.
Well, and I was a little bit down on some things in Flashpoint, but that movie at least there was some reverence for the material. Like I felt like the people making that were kind of having fun in the alternate universe, trying to
Oh
see if
yeah. And
were you.
dropping in as much of the little like Flashpoint stuff as they could from the other series. Um,
I thought a big misstep in this was not voice casting the same as Flashpoint,
yeah, I thought that too. I was wondering, is this supposed to be a sequel to
because
Flashpoint?
I can't tell if they're in the same universe or not. I couldn't tell if this was a sequel or not because like more than and I guess now I'm going to go back and re-criticize something from Flashpoint. If this is not supposed to be a sequel to Flashpoint, then why did we have to set up 52 in Flashpoint?
Yeah, I don't know. Um,
Could we have just done that universe and had fun there and then left it and not done the silly Flash costume at the end? Also,
Not
isn't it
here.
crazy that that's not here?
Well, when I first saw him
I'm
above,
not complaining because I'll make no bones about it. I don't like that suit. But like, why did they do
well,
that?
right
It's not.
above his symbol, he has these dark red lines coming up. And at first I thought, okay, well, when he runs fast, it's gonna look like it does in the comics. It's gonna light up, and it doesn't. And I was like, well, why didn't we just go with the traditional costumes for everyone? Why does Superman have to have that dumb collar? Um,
I don't know.
Also, I'm not a fan of the fact that they cut out Aquaman, which may be the single coolest scene that like non-comic book fans will have seen Aquaman in, to put Shazam in,
Yeah, I'm with you. Why did they do that? Do you think?
because Geoff Johns loves Shazam. I don't know. Um,
I don't either. But Geoff Johns loves Aquaman.
well,
It's
and what's really annoying is that by bringing Shazam in, Cyclops becomes even, or not Cyclops,
Cyclops.
Cyborg becomes even more redundant. He was pointless in the first, in Origin, because they were all getting together and he was having a story of like joining the Justice League when the Justice League was forming. So putting Shazam in here you're getting the same story twice.
You think?
Yeah, they have the exact same story. They're kind of uncomfortable with who they are, and then they join the Justice League. I mean, I guess he's a little bit more optimistic. Um, and first of all, who shows up for a football game in the last 2 minutes of the game, and who sneaks into a football game in the last 2 minutes of a football game?
Yeah, he felt really shoehorned into me. That was the one character where I felt like it was really contrived how he's connected to the Justice League in the first place. It's like this kid just happens to have superpowers, and he meets a guy who will, here in a little bit, end up turning into a cyborg.
I
It
liked
seemed
it.
really unlikely to me. I don't know. It was really shoehorned in. Like if they had to take Aquaman out and put in Shazam, it seemed like they could have at least come up with a more natural, more likely way to get him involved.
And Aquaman's a lot
That
easier to
seems,
get in the comic. He just
yeah.
shows up in the middle of a fight. And I thought they were going that way when the water gets on fire. I thought Aquaman was going to show up.
Oh, see, I knew already Aquaman wasn't in the
Oh,
film.
I didn't realize that.
Ooh, see, that makes it a little rougher because I was at least prepared for that. Because I'm with you, I would have liked to have seen
I
Aquaman.
kept waiting for
Um,
Aquaman. That's that's
and
that's that's the
you
name
make
of my next film. Waiting for
you make
Aquaman.
a really good point. Is that one thing this movie could have accomplished is maybe getting some people that aren't reading comics a little bit more interested in Aquaman. I mean, not that he's given anything to do in the comic or anything.
No, but he has a really cool scene where it's like, what can you do? And then he has a shark eat a guy.
Well, that's true, and they could have done that, and then it would have felt like it warranted its PG-13 rating a little bit more because at least we saw Shark eat a dude.
Um,
Yeah, I'm with you. It's kind of interesting too that like Shazam's in there and nobody asks anything about where his powers come from.
nope.
Like I'm not complaining that we don't get a bunch of backstory for Shazam. That's fine with me. This didn't need to be like that second Ultimate Avengers animated movie where like it's really just about Black Panther. Like
Right.
it didn't have to be that. But at the same time, I just questioned that nobody asked about it. It's like oh well yeah he's just this guy who can fly and do a lot of what Superman can do.
Well, didn't
We're
he
not even going to
hear?
mention
He's with Cyborg. That's what he says. He says I'm with him, and that makes it okay.
it. That's
Um,
the explanation. Okay, all right. Well, he just seemed completely unnecessary. I don't know that he's redundant. I'm not sure if I agree with you that he and Cyborg have the same things to do. Like because the thing about him is we don't really, as far as just personal stuff, we don't really know anything about him except that he's an orphan and he's jumping around between foster homes, I guess.
no
And so
parents.
he no parents. And so he's sorry, that's from the Lego movie.
I can't
Yeah.
hear that word anymore without immediately following it with
Oh
no
no.
parents.
No parents. I'm dark. Anyway, but I I wasn't real sure what the point of him was. I wasn't sure there was an arc there. I mean, he seemed to just be okay. He's Shazam. He has superpowers when he calls on the powers of Shazam, and then the rest of the time he's running around the city trying to decide what to do with himself. And he doesn't like rules, and he's kind of
Yeah, he's
anti-establishment.
kind of like not on the up and up, but like then he totally is, and that was something that was weird because there's a couple of lines where they write him like classic Captain Marvel, where it's like golly, and then the rest of it he's written more like a modern teenager, and those two things didn't go together.
I guess well, and he was younger than a teenager. Like, I guess the thing was supposed to be he's a drifter and he doesn't have a place in the world, and he's like kind of lost and has no direction, and so being with the Justice League gives him direction. I guess that's what
He
the
has
point
a
was.
whole Lost Boys crew that live in a
Yes,
building. I'm not sure like how bad it is for him. I mean, he's homeless and everything, but he's got like friends and they live in a building apparently. Like it's not like they're on the street.
yeah, I wasn't sure what I was supposed to take from that, other than this is just another archetype that eventually fits into a team. You know what I mean? Like he needs the team in order to have direction. Uh, I think the whole cyborg thing is ultimately kind of sad and even a little bit twisted with the dad.
Yeah, and I thought that was a good thing from the comic. I thought it was good in the comic. I just thought it was wrong for this story. In the when I talked about the comic, I thought that should have been the second story. You do the origin story, and then you have the story. You cut ahead 5 years, and it's Cyborg joining the team, and he could catch you up on everything that's happened the past 5 years. I don't think it has a place in this story. Not that there's a story here, but
I think in a way it does, just because he's the only person that really gets anything emotionally to
I
do.
think it works. I actually think it works better here than it did in the comics.
I do,
Um,
yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I guess I'll agree with you there. But boy, his dad is kind of out there.
I don't feel like he was that out there in the comics. I feel
Oh,
like,
I thought that in the comics
oh,
too.
okay,
Well, it's just like he's so extreme, like I don't buy his logic is the thing. He's got to be. This is just my read on it. I feel like he's got to be very detached to really think that his kid has no future in football just because there are a few people with superpowers now and they're going to replace everyone. I have a really tough time with that because it's like, well, you don't know if there's going to be any more. You know
they're
what I mean?
not
Like,
mutants.
yeah, the majority of people, like, why do you feel like you're going to get replaced? Like with mutants in the X-Men, it's like we're seeing all these people pop up and they're going to replace us because there's too many of them and they all have these amazing powers and they can do things we can't do. So when he's like, well, we're coming into a world, son, where your abilities won't matter anymore. I'm like, there's like 5 people that do anything supernatural.
Yeah. Um,
So I'm not sure what I'm not sure what Johns is saying with that character. But again, that's still kind of a complaint from the comic, I guess. I just like again, I think it plays as realistic, and I'm reality checking with this. I don't know that it is.
how did you feel about Green Lantern?
I liked him better here than in the comic.
Yeah, well, there's there's a thing that was in the comic a little bit where I felt like it was kind
I said
of
I enjoyed the comic more, but then now I'm seeing things they improved on. So
well,
sorry.
there's a thing in the comic that I picked up on that it felt kind of All-Star Batman-y. I thought Johns' Batman was very All-Star Batman, and then how he
Yeah,
treats Green Lantern. And then here, I didn't get that vibe, but Batman, or not Batman, Superman and Wonder Woman totally feel All-Star, where they just like each other because, like, oh, well, he's a warrior, he's a real man. So I thought it was
yeah.
weird they brought in like other All-Star Batman stuff. Um,
I didn't even think of that. That's really
why
interesting.
why not just
Some
adapt All-Star Batman? I'm game. Um,
something I thought was
that would
weird.
get a PG-13.
Oh my god, that would almost be worth an R, dude. Just like,
Oh, I'm so ready for
wouldn't
it.
it be really great too if that movie was just an adaptation of what's been out so far and it just
Just
ends?
just like the Absolute coming out that only has the first 9 issues.
You get to the end of what's effectively the 9th issue, and then it just goes to credits. Like it doesn't even finish. It doesn't like to be continued or anything. It just that's it. That's all you
Um,
get.
I I,
I,
I
I
sorry.
No, I wanted to ask you something about Superman and Green Lantern before I forget. There's something, if I'm remembering right, this is different from the comic. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't go back and read it again before I watched
I
this.
didn't either.
Um, I if I remember correctly, in the comic, when Batman takes off his mask, which was the big thing I didn't like in
It's
that comic.
better here
It is, and I'm going to tell you why. If
because
I'm
he
right about
doesn't take the sticker off his chest.
Oh, you're right. That was silly, but that's not what I was gonna say. When he takes off his mask in the comic, I'm pretty sure he is introducing himself as Bruce Wayne for the first time to Green Lantern. In this, Green Lantern already knows his name.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
And
remember that being in the comic.
here's the thing: in the comic, I thought it was really weird that Batman would take his mask off, not just in front of Green Lantern, but in front of presumably citizens.
Yeah.
Like there should be people in the streets. If I remember right in the comics, we actually saw some people in the streets. We don't really see that here. If I'm
I
my
think that whole thing got made fun of so much that when they
yeah,
made this, maybe they went to Geoff Johns or Geoff Johns came to them and go and just said, "This is what I was meaning to do," and it didn't really get conveyed. Because seeing this, I was like, "Oh, the whole point was to get them to think he was just a normal guy, so that they'd take him and he could break in." Didn't get that at all from the comic because he just takes off his mask and his sticker, and then they pick him up.
yeah, no, that didn't work at all. Like, in fact, and again, it's been a while since I've read it. I don't remember him going there on purpose, but maybe he did.
I don't remember either. I assumed
Because
it
in
did.
this, yeah, he tries to look like a regular
Yeah, he puts on
person.
he ties his cape, which I thought was hysterical because I've never seen him
Yeah,
do that. He tied
I was
it
like,
like
wait,
you tie a hoodie around your
Yeah, I was like, wait, he's putting on a stocking cap? Why is he doing that? And then he goes there, and then he puts the rest of his batsuit back on, and I went, oh, okay, this
Which he
actually makes
doesn't
sense.
do in the comic. In the comic, he waits till he's about to leave, and then he pulls out his
No,
spare
and
hat.
when he gets back, there you don't even get the sense that he had a spare. You're like, where did your mask come from? How does that work? No, that all worked better in this because Green Lantern knows that he's Bruce Wayne to begin with. So when he takes his mask off and introduces himself, it's like, okay, well, damage is already done. He already knew that. Fine, and there's nobody around apparently.
Well, and I
Here's
feel like it was better written here.
here's my thing though. It makes Superman look more of a jerk. Look like more of a jerk.
Well, he is a jerk. He's a super jerk in this movie.
But he really looked. That was the first place where I went, wait a minute. Well, the second place after the I think he's trying to rip Batman's head off scene, where he goes because Bruce. Now I don't know how in the world Batman knows that he's Clark Kent. No
Again,
idea.
that's All-Star Batman.
But he says
that happens exactly the same way in All-Star Batman.
He calls him Clark.
Yeah.
Superman's such a jerk. He turns around and I'm like, there are 6 billion people. Well, there are probably like millions of people named Clark. Bruce Wayne or Superman turns around and says Bruce Wayne. I'm like, what a jerk. Really?
But
I thought that was mean. But apparently he really keeps up with everything. Well, I guess I don't know. I guess being a reporter, maybe he would know what Bruce Wayne looks like.
Yeah, Bruce Wayne's pretty rich and famous.
He's pretty rich and famous.
The prodigal son of Gotham.
But I'm just saying, I thought that was really funny because Superman, because Batman at least had the courtesy not to use his last name.
But going back to Green Lantern, I thought he was kind of fun and funny and like a really fun stick in the mud, which has the other joke that I actually thought was funny, where the Flash shows up and he goes, "Oh, and there's Batman. Batman's here? Yeah, he's over there." I thought just his delivery of that was funny.
Well, it wasn't just Batman's here; it's Batman's real.
Oh yeah, it's Batman's real. He goes, "Yeah, he's right over there." Just how much he dislikes Batman. But I thought this was the most interesting we've seen the Lantern's ring be in animation.
Okay, that's interesting.
We got to see a lot of really fun, like when he shields them from the explosion, it's a safe. When he catches Flash, he makes a bed. I just thought we got to see some really fun stuff that we don't usually get to see. Usually it's very standard. I'm making a hand. I'm making a claw. I thought we got to see him do some fun. He makes a train and runs in the dark side. I thought that was fun. I just thought we got to see some really cool. We got to see him do some really cool stuff with the ring that we don't usually get in animation.
That's a good point. I liked Shazam. I like Shazam's line when he asked Darkseid what his World of Warcraft name is.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty good. There's some little things here and there. Let's see. I'm looking at a few notes I made here now that I'll mention out of context. Darkseid runs like a monkey.
I didn't notice that.
That was a little odd. I don't know. Maybe it helps him figure out where he's going when he's blinded, when he's got his hands on the street. I don't know, but he runs like a.
Does that happen in the comics? Do they completely blind him?
I thought they did.
Okay.
I guess we should have read that again before we did this. I don't mean to compare things that I don't remember.
I want to note that the thing that in this entire movie that made me roll my eyes the most is that the ending joke of this movie is literally the exact same ending joke as Mystery Men.
Is it? I don't remember that. It's been a while.
What are you guys called? We'll be called the Super Dudes. And I think they even throw out like another name that's like 7. And then it's the Super 7. I was like, you literally just used the exact same joke as Mystery Men. Now, I know I like Mystery Men a lot more than you do, but I was like, wow, that's really lame. That's the best thing you could come up with was the ending of Mystery Men.
Maybe they haven't seen that movie.
I feel like we've talked more about this movie than it deserves. I don't think we've really stressed enough. This movie is literally fighting. It is just
exactly.
Fighting.
And I feel bad being this hard on it because I'm like, well, it's not a movie that I think really needed to be made. Like, I'm not sure what you would have done with this.
Except enjoy this movie. I feel like A kid would
Well,
enjoy this because it's just fighting, but I think it's kind of
they
inappropriate
can't
for a
watch it.
kid. And
Yeah,
I
but they
think anybody of a more mature intellect, even if they enjoyed the comic book story, stretched to this length, it's just punching.
and there are way better offerings
Oh,
from the DC
from
stuff. I
DC
mean, like,
Animated, yeah. Go back
you
to,
know, like
I mean, we
this
didn't
makes
love
this
Justice League
makes
Doom,
this
but that's
makes
better.
well, this makes Flashpoint look great.
Oh yeah, this makes Flashpoint look a lot better. Um,
I mean, like, it's okay. That still had some of the a lot of the issues I had with the comics, but I mean, like, it's a lot more fun to watch than this. I don't know, man. I'm with you. I guess the disappointment here is there could have been more substance added.
yeah, we didn't need this much fighting. You could have given us an explanation. Some dark side scenes would have been great where he's just explaining what he's doing.
No, I'm with you. There's probably no reason this review needed to be this long, but I guess there's just a lot of stuff we thought of. I feel like we've just been sitting here kind of
I
complaining,
do
being like,
kind of
okay,
wish that somebody had made a dark
stuff.
seed joke because people are always like, "Is it dark side or dark seed?" I kind of wish somebody was like dark seeds here.
I feel like the Atlantis after credit scene was kind of pointless, and maybe it was just thrown in there so that
I didn't even know it was there.
like,
I didn't watch it.
Aquaman fans would be like, oh well, at least they recognized Aquaman's in this universe. Because I'm like, are they gonna do a direct sequel to this? I don't know.
I'm wondering if they'll do a Throne of Atlantis, but
Well, that'd be cool because you know that they'll never make just a straight up Aquaman movie
right.
because it wouldn't sell
Well,
well.
it'd be like
So
Flashpoint, where it's like, well, this is the closest we're going to get to a Flash movie.
yeah, so that'd be the best way to get an Aquaman centered thing up. And I heard great things about Throne of Atlantis. I haven't read it.
I haven't read it either. I haven't read past Justice League Origin. And I've only read the first two volumes of Aquaman because I have to read Justice League to read the third volume of Aquaman.
Yeah, same here. I'm not caught up.
Um,
Run, but
but
anyway, so yeah.
yeah, I kind of want. I don't know. I mean, next one's Son of Batman, which I'm not crazy about because I think it's a pointless story to do without doing, um, at least through RIP. Um,
Yeah, I'm somewhat hopeful for it though because I'm ready for and I know I'll get flack for this. I'm ready for somebody to sway me on Damien, and maybe a movie can do that in a way the comics never did.
I'm telling you, man, we just need to sit down and go through Morrison's run and review them, and I think you'll be swayed.
Well, maybe so. And the other thing too is I had the exact same kind of reservations about Under the Red Hood, and this is another Robin story,
That's true. That's
so
true.
it could potentially be
Well, and
great.
this one will
I don't know.
theoretically be pretty different from the comic, because the comic is kind of like an Act One, or even just like a Chapter One to Morrison's whole thing, whereas seemingly this is going to be self-contained. But I do think it's interesting. All we know that's coming are two Batman films. We don't have any announcements for another Justice League or Superman film. I'm wondering if maybe with the success of Arrow, we might finally get that Quiver movie they've been talking about. They said
Oh,
they've had a script in the drawer for years.
there's a good. I think you're right. I think there's a good shot at it now.
I hope so. Because they said that they have a fantastic Quiver script and they just couldn't get it done because Green Arrow's not big enough. So I hope that happens.
Yeah, because he's certainly gained a lot of traction in the last couple of years.
What number of film is this?
Ooh, I don't know. I didn't look that up.
I was just kind of thinking about
It's
these
got to
have been
be.
going on for a long time.
Yeah, quite a while since oh 05, oh 06.
It
Almost,
says
almost
here
10 years.
Doomsday was released '07.
Oh, okay. So not quite 10 years, but quite a while.
Yeah, I'm assuming they'll keep going till they hit 52 films. Uh,
And then it'll be the DC animated movie 52.
oh, I guess Bruce Timm announced that he would be interested in doing Batman R.I.P. So maybe I'll finally get that. That's gonna be great.
Cool.
Just Batman as a homeless bum with a baseball bat for 20 minutes. I'm so excited.
Well, everybody, thanks as always for listening to Geeks on Nerds, the podcast. And sorry this went kind of long. Boy, I lost track of time. I looked at the timestamp and went, wow, why are we still talking about this movie? But anyway, Eric and I will be back with you shortly with another Arrow discussions. Next up on Arrow, we're getting Clock King.
Well, Arrow's not this week. It's next week, right?
No, I know, but next time you hear our voices.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We may have a podcast, but yeah, the next Arrow. I just want to mention the next Arrow is going to be Clock King, and I'm so excited about that.
I just looked into it. Throne of Atlantis has been announced to be a movie they're going to do.
Oh, okay. Well, then that might be a direct sequel to this. Okay. Well, then forgive my complaining about the pointlessness of that scene, because maybe it wasn't pointless.
Well, I mean, it could have not been there, and you wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, thanks again for listening. We'll see you later. I'm Kevin. Logan.
I'm Eric.